Hey, Alan here for Old English Outfitters. Today we're taking a look at a pistol made by Walther over in Germany. This is their concealed carry pistol, the CCP. Now, there was a first generation CCP, concealed carry pistol. That pistol had a couple minor differences from this one. They upgraded it to kind of a second generation gun. That's what this is, the CCP M2, or basically a second generation CCP. These weapons are made in two calibers, 9mm and 380 ACP. 9mm was first. Making them in 380 required a couple minor engineering changes, one of which was the magazine. And it's very interesting, if you look at the magazine, you notice the follower doesn't go all the way to the back. It's because this is the same magazine the 9mm uses, but by putting a spacer in there and a shorter follower, you end up with a magazine that will work with 380 ACP. And we had no problems out of this gun. These pistols ship with a hard case, some small tools for the gun, two 8-round magazines. This is a very unique pistol in a couple respects. The grip on it is very much like the Walther P22. They're a very successful 22 caliber small semi-auto pistol. Very ergonomic, very comfortable. It has a lot of rounded texture to it. It's got a very shallow finger groove here in front. It's a very ergonomic, very good feeling grip. Got a rail up on the front of the dust cover so you can add lasers or lights or anything like that up there. We have adjustable sights up on top, and the way this is accomplished by Walther, the rear sight has a screw. It'll move left-right for windage adjustment. The front sight actually you replace, and it comes with several other front sights. So you would field strip the pistol, push this sight out, put the new sight in to change elevation point of impact. It's set up for a right-hander. There's magazine release over here on this side, and we've got a safety here, and we've got a slide release here. The safety is a very simple lever. Up is and down. Up is on safe, down is off safe, and you've got when the slide is closed, when it's up and on safe, you can't see the red dot. When you push it down, perfect, you can see the red dot. You're just ready to fire. It's set up for a right-hander. So it's right under your thumb like a 1911 safety, so it's very easy to operate for a right-hander. This pistol is very, very soft shooting. This one's 380 caliber. Very soft shooting, very comfortable. The slide cycles pretty easily on it. Part of the reason that this thing is so soft shooting is because of the very unique action that it uses. A lot of guns, a lot of modern firearms that we looked at, we refer to them as locked breech semi-autos. This is a gas-delayed semi-auto. Gas-delayed. What does that mean? Well, if you cycle the slide on this, you'll notice that the barrel doesn't move. The barrel doesn't tilt. So it's not a tilting barrel design. The barrel actually is fixed in place. There's a recoil spring over the barrel, very much like PPK or PPKS or something like that. But underneath here, we've got a small gas piston. So what happens is when the weapon fires, it taps a little bit of gas off into that piston. The combination of the gas and the recoil spring keep it shut until the projectile has exited, which lets pressure drop safely enough for the slide to safely cycle. Very interesting design. We noticed that it was very soft shooting, which is a major advantage to this type of thing. We also noticed, shooting rapidly, that the front of the frame, where that gas piston is, right in this area, gets a little warm. Not so warm that it's going to burn you or anything like that, or at least not for the rounds we fired, but it does get a little warm. You notice that. That's just because of the gas piston that's under there. It's built to work that way, okay? This pistol takes down a little differently than some others, and we're going to show that here a little bit later in the segment. It comes with a short brush. That is not a bore brush. That is for the gas piston. The area that the gas piston taps into gets a little dirty. This is what that's for, to get that in there, to clean that out. Very interesting pistol to shoot. It was accurate enough. I would want to change the position of the sights for me a little bit. For me, it was a little off. I would make a minor sight adjustment. But very interesting gun. The slide, for some of you who have trouble pulling a slide back, think about the Smith & Wesson EZ. This is pretty close to an EZ. Maybe not quite as good, but pretty close. As far as recoil, it is extremely comfortable. That gas delay really works for that purpose, exactly as it's designed to. Now, one other thing this pistol has that some people like, some people don't like, but it has a magazine safety or a magazine disconnect. So when there's no magazine in the gun, you cannot pull the trigger. You can pull it, but nothing happens. It's a dead trigger. Got to have a magazine in. Also, it has a very visible, and this is kind of common to a lot of Walther striker-fired guns, has a very visible cocking indicator back here. This red piece is the very back end of the striker, and that protrudes from the rear of the slide when the weapon is charged and the striker is cocked. There's a loaded chamber indicator that functions simply with the ejector. When you've got a round in, the ejector stands out a little bit where you can feel it. Extractor stands out a little bit where you can feel it, so that functions as your loaded chamber indicator. The extractor, not the ejector, the extractor. Okay, so we mentioned that this pistol is a little bit different in takedown than some of the things that are out there. But one thing that it's not different in is the same thing we do anytime we're going to take a pistol apart or work on it, right? Well, what is that? Everybody together, what is that? We make sure it's empty and safe. Semi-automatic pistol, take the magazine out, then we pull the slide back, lock it open, check the chamber to make sure that it's clear, empty, and safe. Once we've done that, and that's important with this gun because we're going to close the slide and point it in a safe direction, and we've got to pull the trigger because we want this striker pin cocking indicator down in there. But we can't do that because it has a magazine safety. So we're going to make sure we have an empty magazine. I'm going to put that in. Now we can safely pull that trigger. Take the magazine back out. The first generation of these guns had a little tool that it came with that lets you push in on the rear portion of this that's essentially the back end of where the striker rests. That tool was plastic, had a reputation for getting worn really easily. So the first modification they made was they put a metal front end on it. Well, that was okay, but finally they decided let's do away with the tool, which is probably a pretty good idea on their part. So what we want to do is we want to push in on this piece right there. If you can see, that moves just a little bit. We want to push in a little bit on that. And I'm going to just push in just slightly bit more with it right there, okay? So there's a little lever right here. If we push that to the side, that lets this pop out, like so. And it's going to pop out a little ways and stop. And if we cycle the slide a little, we can get it the rest of the way out, okay? Once it's in this position, we can lift the slide and it just simply comes off, just like that, okay? This piece just moves back and forth, but we're going to leave it in that open position. Here you can see we've got that fixed barrel. And on the slide, you can see this is that gas piston we were talking about. This is the thing where it bleeds gas off and helps control the recoil, keeps it soft shooting. Recoil spring, which of course goes over the barrel, like so, all right? To remove the striker and the striker spring, we would push up on that right there. That's the safety piece. We would push up on that. That would let us pull all of this out. Now, a point to keep in mind, this has a tiny little plastic piece that's on the end of this spring. When you're handling it, that might come off. It's on there pretty good, but just be cautious about it. Don't knock it off there because it's very small. Again, you notice if I pull this, see, it won't come out. Got to push on this first, then that will let that come out. Okay? Now, to put the pistol back together, make sure this piece back here is still all the way out. Recoil spring just goes over the barrel like so. We're going to put it all back in here. We kind of have to play with this just a little bit. This piston is going to go down underneath in the hole, if you can see it, down underneath the barrel. That's where that whole gas mechanism business operates. So we got to kind of steer it just a little bit, get it in there. Once that's in, the slide just drops back in place, just like that. So it's not too hard. This piece we're going to push down and put right against this. Once that's there, all we got to do is push this back in. Once you push it all the way in, that little lever will pop right back over where you want it to be. What do? We function check it, right? So it's cocked, but we can't fire it because we have no magazine in, right? So we're going to take an empty magazine, put it in, check the manual safety. Okay, that works. We're cocked. That works. Cycle it. Works again. All right, we're good. Function check's good. Okay? So that's disassembly, reassembly, basic field strip of the CCP. This lever back here and not requiring a tool to push this in made life much easier with these pistols. So it was a good call on their part. Very interesting gun. We thought it was pretty cool to shoot. These are We have them in 380. We don't have them in 9mm right now. But if you're interested in coming to look at one, please feel free to take a visit to us, because we've got some of them in stock. For a soft shooting pistol that's kind of a compact size, not really subcompact, not huge capacity like some of the other things out there, but 8 rounds. So it keeps it in a small package, very light. Good gun. We would recommend taking a look at it if you need something that's soft shooting and easy to operate. That's all we have for today. Until the next time, thanks for watching. I'm Alan for Old English Outfitters.